Manhattan is a Lenape word. It is June, and we must be brave. The ambulance's rows of light blooming against the window. Its single siren cry, help me. A silk red shadow unbolting like water through the orchard of her thigh. Her come in the green night, a lion. I sleep her bees with my mouth of smoke, dip honey with my hands stung sweet on the darksome hive. Out of the eater, I eat, meaning she is mine, colony. The things I know aren't always easy. I'm the only Native American on the 8th floor of this hotel or any, looking out any window of a turn of the century building in Manhattan. Manhattan is a Lenape word. Even a watch must be wound. How can a century or a heart turn if nobody asks, where have all the natives gone? If you are where you are, then where are those who are not here? Not here. Which is why in this city I have many lovers. All my loves are reparations loves. What is loneliness if not unimaginable light and measured in lumens? An electric bill which must be paid. A taxi cab floating across 3 lanes with its lamplit gold in wanting. At 2 a.m., everyone in New York City is empty and asking for someone. Again, the siren's same wide note, help me, meaning I have a gift and it is my body, made two-handed of gods and bronze. She says, you make me feel like lightning. I say, I don't ever want to make you feel that white. It's too late. I can't stop seeing her bones. I'm counting the carpals, metacarpals of her hand inside me. One bone, the lunate bone, is named for its crescent outline. Some nights she rises like that in me, like trouble, a slow, luminous flux. The street lamp beckons the lonely coyote wandering West 29th Street by offering its long wrist of light. The coyote answers by lifting its head and crying stars. Somewhere far from New York City, an American drone finds, then loves a body. The radiant nectar it seeks through great darkness, makes a candle hour of it, and burns gently along it like American touch, an unbearable heat. The siren song returns in me. I sing it across her throat. Am I what I love? Is this the glittering world I've been begging for?
Hello, can everybody see me? Well, I know. Welcome to Asian Arts Initiative. We're here in Philadelphia, or at least I am, in unceded territory of the Lenni Lenape, and want to acknowledge Natalie Diaz, this beautiful poet who just came out with a book called Post-Colonial Love Songs. I highly recommend it. So this is our way of starting events so that the staff can acknowledge how important it is to recognize when people are refugees in their own countries. So thank you all for taking that time with us. I'd like to thank some more people. The Knight Foundation actually made it possible for us to upgrade our Ethernet so that this broadcast could happen. And I also want to thank the team that we hired through that grant, Rashid Zakat and Dan Foley, who is a sound engineer, and his name is literally Dan Foley, which it fascinates me every time I say that. Joanne is over here. She's a lead teaching artist for us and manning the computer, but she can't talk because my mic will pick her up. And Dave Q is behind the scenes, making sure that we're taking care of business. Happy birthday, by the way, to Dave. Okay, so on to the program. Soon I'm going to reveal something very delicious. And so the theme of the night is food, sort of. And I forgot, okay, a couple more acknowledgements. So tonight is also being co-presented with 2 content partners Blue Stoop, I want to thank the folks over there, Emma Eisenberg et al. They are a community-driven project to promote, sustain, and nurture writers and readers in Philadelphia and beyond. And also co-presenting with us is the team at Union Transfer. Thanks, Sean Agnew. And you can catch Japanese Breakfast there. She's going on tour in August, or at least that's the date, August 6th and 7th. Get your tickets. I got mine. It's going to be really cute. And her album Jubilee comes out June 4th. So who is she? Michelle Zauner is the author lately of a memoir called Crying in H-Mart. We're going to be talking about that with Youngmi Mayer, stand-up comedian and dear friend to the organization, to me, to everybody. Also, your chaotic Korean mother and the co-host of the podcast Feeling Asian. So if they could turn their cameras on, I think everybody will see each other. Yay. Hi.
Everyone. Hello.
Where's Youngmi?
Yeah, I'm here.
Each time you're on, each time you come back on camera, you look more dressed up.
You look
Yeah.
you look like a
Wait,
pink
Michelle,
lady.
I need to
Michelle, you missed this because like earlier when we logged on, I was wearing a t-shirt and then I like turned my camera on and I was like, wait, Anne, you look so good. So like we turned the cameras back off and then I like changed my shirt and then I like put on lipstick.
Wait, but okay, no shade, but Michelle's wearing an oversized Cheetos.
I know, I'm wearing a Cheetos t-shirt. Had I
But here's
known, I went casual.
I should have.
No,
I didn't want to wear anything nice because I'm going to be eating, and so I.
That's
I
right.
So I had my Kijibe Korean flag shirt on.
Amazing.
And I was like,
All right, so now I can show off my huge pot of ramen. And
Amazing. Is it Shinka?
It's just shin ramen straight up out of the bag.
Nice.
Yeah,
It looks like a lot of Shinya ramen.
I'm so glad you said that because I was
It
so.
looks like 5 packages in there.
It's 4, but
It's
it's
4?
that's what I said.
It's going to look so much more voluminous, and then when I look at it, it kind of is just like the size of my head. It's not that.
It looks really good. But we were all talking about how, I have so much more appreciation for mukbang people because the angle that you have to get food is really challenging. I was on a
It's
higher
so
table
hard.
before and then I tried to lower, but we all need special tables that are like
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah, I was gonna do it on the floor and then I was like, where do I put the laptop? So now I'm like
Yours
here.
looks
'cause I
really
have, like,
good. I think
I've been here since
Struggled.
6 a.m. setting this up, so it's really nice.
cooking for
Yeah. Wait, so one of you has to explain mukbang for the like 2 people tuning in today who don't know what it is.
Michelle, tell us because you told me that this was your dream. Mukbang was your dream.
Yeah, I've been wanting to
Tell
do
them.
mukbang, and so this seems like a good way to not do it alone. It's kind of like when you like really want to do karaoke, but you're like too much of a coward to do it by yourself, so you have to like rope other people into doing it with you, so you feel less like a fool. But I really love mukbang. It translates literally to like eating room, and it's like I guess it's originated in Korea. These I guess vloggers who eat on camera, and now it's a really popular YouTube community that's sort of related to ASMR.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I really like it. Most of my friends think
I love
it's
it.
really gross. Most of my like white friends think it's really gross, but
At first, I thought it was disgusting, the sounds, and then I feel like you like it's like one of those things that you like one day you get it, and then you're like and then now I'm obsessed.
yeah. I'm really into it. It gets me really hyped to like eat different things. And also I feel like it inspires you to get into things that you wouldn't normally eat. Like I remember I really like the ones where you just eat like an entire log of raw salmon. And so now
I love those.
that's a thing that I do. Or like I feel like I didn't know about like buldak bokumyeon like before it became really popular, like the fire noodle challenge. Yeah.
You know what? I have that. I wanted to bring it out and put it on my table.
I
here.
almost ate it, but then I was afraid that I would really suffer tomorrow.
Yeah, then I would just like be crying.
Yeah.
This is the hottest one. And so I have a son that's 7 years old, and he was like, Mom, I saw this on YouTube, so I bought it for you. Like he bought it with his dad. And I was like, okay, I'll eat it. And then I made it and I just like ate it like so easily. And he was like, my mom rules.
You're like Dorothy. Dorothy
Yeah.
is my favorite one. She's like able to eat
Can you tell everybody what you're eating too, and then also?
Oh yeah, Michelle. Tell
Okay,
us what you're eating, Michelle.
I'm a little bit disappointed because I got this I got it from this place that I don't even want to like shame them, but I got it from this place I usually get that's really good. But you know, so I got chicken wings, but this is like not a Korean chicken wing. Like if you see a Korean chicken wing, it should be like, oh, here, let me do the thing.
It looks a little dull. I feel like Korean ones are really glossy looking, you know. Wow. Michelle, you're such a pro.
But I'm upset because it's like not crunchy at all. It's like it's just like a it's like a Buffy YY wing, you know. It's pathetic.
It looks like a Buffy YY for sure.
Yeah, it looks like a Buffy YY. And I got tteokbokki, but it also has like a lot of vegetables in it, which is weird. And then I haven't seen this in a long time. It's called like what? Gochi?
Gochi.
Gochi.
Yeah.
So I got gochi and I got there's a little bit of jjampong in here.
Nice. It's all from the same place.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, I got it from Miss Oho in Greenpoint, which is usually really good, but I think maybe in the travel the wings might have died a little bit.
So you know what I'm like so excited about, and I feel like this. Have you guys read this? I'm just gonna like. Sorry, I know this is like another random book, but like so. So the first page is
that her name like Unko or something?
And this just reminded me like doing this today, and also reading your book, Michelle. Like I feel like there's a lot of this in there. I was like, I feel like it's such a big part of like Korean women culture to like just sit on the floor, eat with your friends, drink soju and smoke and talk shit about your husbands. Like that's like such a cultural thing. And so like I was really excited to do this because I was like, oh, it's like obviously this is like all virtual, but that's like what it reminds me of.
I love that. That's so true.
Right. Yeah. And I was like reading your book, there's kind of like a lot of that, like, you know, like these like dialogues between your mom and, you know, like your aunts and your grandmother. But when I was reading your book, I was like, I remembered that like those are like the favorite parts of my childhood. Like those are such memorable memories, you know, like just my aunt like talking shit about her husband and like laughing and them getting drunk and like smoke, because you know like in Korea they bring the table after dinner, they like take it into the bedroom, right, and then they just like drink soju and eat fruit. And so I feel like I kind of felt like, oh, like we're doing that, you know, like doing the tradition. Oh wait, let me tell you what I'm eating before I start asking some, because I have a few questions I want to. Okay, so I got these Korean corn dogs.
Can you tell us about what kinds they are?
They are they're from Two Hands, which is in I guess the East Village. This one's a potato. It's like covered in French fries. They're like street, like anyone's watching has been to Korea, they sell them on the street usually, and they're just like fun, like funky corn dogs. And the batter is like rice flour, I think. So they're like a little different. This one's French fries. This one is spicy, so it's covered in hot Cheetos. And honestly, I don't know what this one is, but I think it has condensed milk on it. So
damn.
Dessert.
Oh wait, look at this. So I got that, and then I got kanjang.
I'm so jealous.
Because Michelle, you told me this is your favorite food, right?
Yeah, I think that's my favorite food. I haven't I haven't had it from that place. I really want to try it because I got it last week and I didn't like the one that I got so much. So I'm really? Like on the hunt for a really good one.
So this one is the best one I've had in New York City. It's from Five Senses. And I remember when you told me that, I was like, oh, kejang is like also my favorite food. And I kind of feel like it's, but don't you think like most Korean people say that?
Probably. It's the most like dank, I feel like, Korean food, you know, like very intense flavor.
But this place Five Senses is really good, so you should try that. And then that's all. But then I did get some drinks. I got this yogurt soju and I took a
God, that's so funny because I did a book event the other day with Elise Whitney, who also had yogurt soju.
Wait, was this bottle or was it?
Yeah, it was that bottle. Yeah, it was that bottle. It must be new. Is it good?
It's new. It tastes very good, but it kind of hurt my stomach.
Do you think that
very good
Korean
just
people
drinking out of the bottle?
I feel like obviously like every culture has a pretty intense drinking culture, but like drinking was like a really big part of my life. I feel like my whole family are like pretty heavy drinkers. my mom like drank like pretty much like every day, but like casually, like, she would frequently have 2 or 3 drinks daily. And I feel like now like wellness is on the rise in America, which is a good thing. But I feel like I drink a lot more than my Caucasian friends.
Oh, really? I feel like people in America drink a lot. So, but I do know what you mean. Like that picture, I really wanted to share that with you because like, like you go to like restaurants in Korea at lunchtime and you see like these like moms just like getting litty on soju, just like eating pork belly, just being like,
Yeah,
maybe that is. Yeah, they do love soju. Oh, and then I got this. This is Makgeolli, which is like pretty, I don't know if you can.
Wait, I also
this is while Michelle's away, I'll tell you what this is. This is an unfiltered rice wine. And I was just telling everybody what it is. Yes, I think it's getting like too white, so it's getting blown out. But the company is called Makgeolli. Yeah, and it's obvious. It's definitely Korean owned, like if that's. But
it does look, like Michelle. The branding looks like yeah, it looks like I put like kimchi in here though. I should have gotten the other bowl.
So this is just like a traditional bowl that people drink makgeolli out of. So I got that. And so that's all I'm eating. And I wanted to show, like, do you like this part, like haejang, that like the brainy part? You put usually like you put a scoop of rice in there. Yeah, and then you mix it. So I'm gonna do that before I ask you some questions.
Okay, I'm gonna eat my kochi.
Oh, I guess like what is that? Is that sausage and duck?
It's just duck. It's like deep fried duck. But it's actually pretty good.
There's some comments in the chat where the food's getting mushed, so you got to start chowing down.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is for me the flavor of Korea.
Yeah, that is the flavor of Korea for sure. My mom, my aunt has like, my aunt's best friend has like an eel restaurant. Ooh. They have this like banchan of like gaejang, but like they're mini gaejang, and it was like the best gangjang gaejang I'd ever had.
Oh my God!
They had like this beautiful garden, and they just would serve like raw onion, and it was like so delicious that you would just eat like fresh raw onion.
Should I do this?
Oh, this is my favorite thing. That I feel like you're ahead.
Michelle, that was so good. I have to take you here.
I know. I can't wait to go. I'm fully vaxxed now, so we should go sometime soon.
I'll take you
next weekend.
Well, I wanted to start by asking you. Of course, now that's like exactly when I try to ask you the question is when my screen went dark. So I wanted to ask you, like, I'm assuming that some of the people watching, or maybe most, because your book just came out, that they didn't read it. Like, just give us like a brief rundown of like what you think is like the most important theme of the book, or like what's the story or the message that you think is like the most important thing that you wanted to convey to people.
Yeah, I guess my book is largely about mothers and daughters and the sort of complicated but loving relationship that you can have with your mother. In my particular case, growing up mixed race with a mom that was Korean, there was a huge cultural and generational divide that I don't even think I was aware of until I was older, that that a lot of the things that I just thought were like sort of idiosyncratically cruel about her character was rooted in something a lot deeper, and was rooted largely in a culture that I just wasn't familiar with. And I think that if I had more Korean friends, or if I had grown up in Korea, it would have been more normalized, or I would have had a deeper understanding of some of the things that she was doing that I didn't at the time. So a lot of the book is about sort of discovering those idiosyncrasies and sort of looking back at them in retrospect. And then, of course, a lot of the book is about losing my mom to cancer and our relationship during the caretaking process, and how I felt like, there was this real threat all of a sudden that this part of my identity that just felt so intrinsically a part of me, was like kind of, I didn't know if it belonged to me anymore after she died. You know, even her family, I was like, oh, do I even have sort of like access to this family anymore now that she's now that she's gone? And
Yeah.
yeah, and so it was about learning how to cook Korean food, and that becoming like sort of like a ritual for me, to preserve our shared culture and her memory.
So you've said that to me before about being biracial and being like from the States and kind of like, God, who, I guess, yeah, this was the first time we talked about it. And when the one person in your family who is of that ethnicity passes away, like had this fear of like losing that part of your identity. I know you've talked about that a lot. So I guess like my question is like, do you feel like that happened? Like, are you like out of touch with your Korean family now and ... or?
I think it's just tough because, like, you know, the last remaining aunt, my like kunimo, she doesn't speak English very well, and I don't speak Korean fluently by any means. So it's tough, you know, and I just it's more of just like I felt this new threat that I just never thought of before. When my mom was alive, I just, you know, was Korean, and we just were Korean, and my family was Korean. And then when she died, you know, like my whole family splintered, you know, and I just questioned everything in this way that I never questioned before. And so I think that a lot of it was just me sort of actively taking steps to make sure that I didn't lose touch with it. Because it feels like if my mom was alive, we would just go to Korea. We would just talk about Korean shit. We would just do, you know, I wouldn't have lost it. When I have a kid, like my mom would just be around to teach the kid how to be Korean. And, you know, now that she's gone, I have to sort of actively, you know, take care of those things to preserve them, you know, in this way that I don't think I would have had to if she was still alive, because she'd just be around doing them, you know.
Yeah, I feel like that that must be like really sad because, you know, when I had my son, my mom came and stayed with me, and I feel like it was this big part of her. Like, I hadn't really thought about it, but for her, that meant a lot for her. And she was like, when my daughter has a child, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make like miyeokguk, and I'm gonna like do this and do that. And like, that was like really, like, I think that's like a big part of Korean culture. I mean, I think it's part of everyone's culture, but like,
this thing in Korea where they have like post birth like hospitals that you live in for like weeks, where there's like 24-hour nurses that like come make your food and take care of you.
So that's like really trendy in Korea right now. And it's really interesting because when I had a baby and I heard my mom tell me about it, I was like, that is exactly what I want. So it's basically like somewhere between like a hospital and a spa. Like it's almost like a nice jjimjilbang. Like you go, you check in, and you stay for like a month or two. And like it's very trendy now. So there's like ones that are like $50,000, like for celebrities or whatever. But for the entire month, you're taken care of. They do all the laundry. They make you meals, and all you do is sort
also
of like
give birth there, or you go afterwards?
No, you go after.
Okay.
And then you just hang out with the other moms. And if anyone's listening to this that's ever given birth, you like, that sounds like exactly what you want. It sounds like paradise.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, so the cruel, like, I remember you said that and it really stuck in my head, like the cruelty of like the Korean mom and like what that love means. Like, I struggle with it a lot, and I'm like very careful not to really talk about this that much in front of people who are not Korean or Asian. Because there's like, there's all these weird racist stereotypes about like the tiger mom and like, like she was like, and it's rooted, like they assume that they're just like cruel, but then in a lot of ways, I don't know if this is me and this is like saying like my weirdness, but in a lot of ways, like I feel like that's part of the reason why I was so close to my mom, or I love
Right.
her so much. Does that
Yeah.
make sense to you?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think I was also so worried about that stereotype when I was writing the book. And I felt like, the only way that I could remedy that, I mean, because there are certain stereotypes that certainly like ring true about things. My mom was really obsessed with my grades and extracurriculars and me being this perfect person. And that was exhausting and something that like I couldn't relate to any of my peers. Like my mom, every time I came home from college, she would be like, get on the scale, like let's see how much you weigh. And she would always say, like, I'm 5'2" and I weigh like 10, I weigh like 10, between 105 and
Oh
110.
my God.
And
Yeah.
she would always say to me, I just think like 100 pounds is like the perfect weight for you. And and like, if I had told my friends growing up that, they'd be like, oh my God, you're going to get an eating disorder, all this stuff, but it was so normal for like my mom to say something like that. And like, it's so true. I mean, there's a part in the book where I get married and the truth is, it's like, no matter how critical my mom could be, because she was so brutally honest with me, I did really believe her, and I ultimately felt like she thought I was like the most beautiful person in the world. She was just so disappointed with what I was doing with it. You know what I mean? And like, she used to say that all the time. Like, if I looked like you, I would be so beautiful, and I was just like bungling it. And so, yeah, I mean, in the same breath, like I feel that so intensely. And that was like a part of my bond that I wanted to share or find a way to just like present as detailed as possible so people could get the sense that like, even though there were some things that were like particularly like cruel, like there were also things like she would wear my cowboy boots around the house to break in the shoes. Like she would literally endure the pain of, like her feet getting blistered so that when she sent me those shoes, I didn't have to feel that. And I mean, to me, like that's a kind of love that's I grew up with, and as ultimately became more important to me than getting coddled in this way that I envied a lot of my friends' parents for doing to them.
Yeah, it's like this. I talk about this a lot with my Asian friends. It's like, you're told that love looks like a certain way because we're viewing it. If you're an Asian American, we're viewing it through the lens of like white people. So it's like a parent that's like, I love you every day. I love you. I love you. Like that's what love looks like. But there's that like really popular meme about Asian parents where they'll yell at you and then like an hour later they'll just silently like bring you a plate of like cut fruit and be like, here. And like that's their expression of love, and it doesn't make it any less legitimate, I think.
Totally. I think it's just like hard when you're like, for me, like I was raised in America and I just didn't understand it for a long time until I kind of looked back at it as an adult. And that was another like sort of tragic part of my relationship with my mom, is that I think even, if you're not Asian, there's like often Renaissance period between mothers and daughters where you are both adults for the first time, and sort of you're after like all of the rotten years of your adolescence, like your early 20s come around and you start getting to speak to each other as adults, and you have this kind of like relationship and appreciation of each other. And my mom and I's relationship was at that point where it was just like just like starting to get good.
Right.
Really thick. Wow, that looks so good.
This is very good. Sorry, I was like trying to like, obviously I don't want to like steal attention from you.
Wow.
Look at the row.
It looks so good. I have to try this place.
This place is very good. Well, that's like, I feel like that's so tragic.
This is not an easy thing to like eat and try.
No, I'm gonna do it. I don't give a shit. I already like spilled my drink all over.
I love it. Chaotic onion energy.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
The crunch of the shell is like so soothing. None of my food is like as sensory, I feel like.
I'm so sad because I feel like I'm gonna eat this corn dog and the cheese probably hardened already.
Yeah, my cheese. I melted.
Let me take a bite.
I melted cheese on top of my tteokbokki, but it is already hard. So I have.
So this one is. Yeah, let's try to eat some of our hard cheese. This cheese in here. But I feel like the cheese probably got hard. This is covered in flaming hot Cheetos, by the way.
Oh my God.
Here. Let's see if the cheese still pulls.
Well,
I just ate like basically a deep fried string cheese right now.
that's so sad. That's what I don't understand about mukbang. Is like, how are they setting up everything like really beautifully, and then like it's still the cheese pull. Like, how do they do it?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think. I was like,
what is the dog's name again?
this is Corn, my dog. Corn dog. I was like, oh, should I put it in the oven? But
Is
then
your
all the
cat
sauce
Donko?
was melted. I have a cat named Donko, but that wasn't him. That's his brother.
Oh,
I have a lot of pets. Wait, okay, maybe this cheese is still active.
it's still active. Oh my god, the hard cheese.
It's so good, though.
Is the sausage inside?
Yeah, it's half cheese and then half sausage. And the sausage part
Is the sausage in the middle?
is down here. But I forgot that the sausage that they use in Korea is so different. And when because I ate this the other day, I was like, oh my god, I forgot that it tastes like this. You know? Okay, that was like, I have like 19 ounces. I don't know what an ounce is. I have like 19 ounces of straight up cheese, hard cheese in my stomach right now.
Your tongue is gonna be messed up.
Wait, I think I wanted to ask one more question. It's going to try to. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. Okay, well, what time is it? Oh, we have time. So like, what does it feel like? Because your book is like so emotional. You know, obviously, like if for Koreans, like the death of your mom is just like a very like major theme. What does it feel like that's like what your book is about?
Yeah.
And like you're doing this tour now, and you're talking about it all the time. You know,
Yeah.
obviously. I've talked to you before, and you know, like, how does it feel? Like, does it feel like does it wear on your emotions at all, or?
Oh, I think I've had some practice with it, you know, because first of all, like my mom passed away coming up on 7 years now, which is crazy. Okay. But
yeah.
You know, when I made my first 2 records, they were also largely about grief, and I sort of thought. I've been talking about this for a really long time. So I had started doing interviews about this, like even like, you know, within the year that she died, I was talking about that record. And it was definitely way more emotional then. And I've sort of like hardened in a way. I mean, there's still some stuff that like, if sometimes it'll hit a nerve, like it depends, you know, like certain things like, you know, I read the audiobook, which was a pretty wild process.
Oh, you did?
A couple months ago, yeah. And it was actually like, first of all, it was a woman director and engineer, and they were just the most like soothing, wonderful women to be with in a room. Well, like, the director was like in my ears, and the engineer was in another studio, but they were like so generous and wonderful and attentive, and like it just made it such a safe space. And I thought I was gonna cry a lot, but I only cried in one chapter, which is still really hard for me to talk about, which is like, it's called Living and Dying. It's when my mom's like health really plummets and she goes into septic shock in Korea, when we try to like take this like nice trip together and it just ends up going to shit.
Right.
It's not as hard because I feel like I presented it like on my terms, you know, like it was tremendously difficult to write about, but being asked questions that are like generally pretty respectful about it makes it's generally not too hard. I mean, I wonder if it's sort of like your comedy, where it's like the way that you kind of process really hard information or cope with like your trauma is to like just put it out there, you know. It's like a type of healing, and I think that for me, I've just gotten kind of used to doing that in a way, and it feels healing, you know. I feel like I've really been able to kind of like literally close the book on this part of my life and talking about it, and then after this book, I hopefully don't have to do it anymore, you know.
I think, you know, that makes sense. I feel like as like people that are like creatives, I also agree it's like it's almost like you do it and then you like burn through. It's like you're lighting it on fire.
Right.
There's this like pain, and you're like, I'm gonna write songs about this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a book about this. I'm gonna write comedy about this, and then it burns off. And I feel like, you know, that makes sense to me, because like a lot of like art does come from, you know, pain, like loss. And I mean, there's so many songs about like breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Like that's like 90% of songs, you know? And so it does make sense that that's like a way that you're processing it.
Has your mom seen your comedy show?
You know, I tell her about it and she likes it. She thinks it's funny.
Really?
I want her to like briefly talk about that too, because I think it's a very Korean thing. Like, you know, in the same vein of like that picture that I showed you with the women drinking on the floor. I've been thinking about that a lot. And my mom's brother passed away when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna tell this story really quick before I ask the last question. And his widow, my aunt, came to visit when I was like 15, so like 10 years later, right? But my mom was like so messed up about his death because she like that was her favorite brother, and she has like 9 brothers or whatever.
Oh my god, really?
7 brothers.
And then older.
They're all older. She's the mom.
Oh my god.
That's why I think my mom is like a little.
She's the only daughter.
Mm-hmm. No, she had the first daughter. The first child was a daughter, and then there was 7 sons, and then my mom.
Oh my god.
So she had like a very different life than other Korean women her age, because like her family like really doted on her and stuff. But I remember this lunch, like she was eating lunch with my aunt, and my aunt was like, they always get really sad about my uncle, you know, when they hang out. And they're sort of like crying a little bit, and then my aunt like was like, oh, I remember when we first got married, he fucking cheated on me, and I caught him. And so my aunt drove to like his girlfriend's house. And like just started screaming at the window, like, come down, motherfucker, like that.
Yeah.
So she's screaming at the window, and he wouldn't come down. So she like stayed out there all night long, the entire night screaming. And so she was telling that story to my mom, and they were both, and she was like so angry. She was like, fuck that guy. And then she kept being like, I was gonna kill him if he can't. I'm glad he didn't come down, because if he did, I would kill him. I was gonna kill him. And then she like at some point remembered that he had died. And then she started laughing so hard. She was like, oh my God, like I was going to kill him. I was so angry that night. But then he's dead now. And then she started laughing. And then my mom started laughing.
Your mom's brother. She was talking about your mom's brother. Yeah.
Who had died 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're both just like shitting their pants laughing at this point. They're just like, he's dead. Ah! And then they were like, fuck that guy. And then and then they were laughing, and then they started crying really hard. They're just like sobbing violently.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the most Korean thing that's ever happened. Like that is that's the, you know, like the what was it? Tonkoe turn on that, like if you laugh while crying, their hair grows out of your butthole. Like hairy, like that's like Korean people are all about the like laughing so hard and then about something really sad. And like, I feel like that's like the whole thing. And I feel like that reminded me of like what you're saying about your mom, like the cruel love, or like, you know, like food in Korea, it's like stinky and it's like too spicy, but it's like the best. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's always like this mixture of like pain and humor, I think.
Totally.
So anyway, that's like all the things that your book reminded me of. It was like really great. And I've told you this already, but I was like, this is like, I could really relate, which leads me to my last question. You said that when you wrote the book, you were really worried about what Asian Americans or like Korean Americans or Koreans would think about you. And I feel like, you know, as both of us being biracial, that's like a big, I mean, I'm not sure about you, but for me, that's like a big issue for me, because I'm just like, there's so much rejection, I feel like, from either culture. And, you know, of what I've seen about the book online, it's been like received extremely well. You know, I've only seen like the most positive reviews. How does that feel for you? Like, how does it feel for you that like this, like, you know, this acceptance or like, you know, from Asian Americans?
Oh, I mean, it's so validating. I was so, you know, like I went through so many phases where I was just like, I don't know why. I mean, I guess you just like gaslight yourself into thinking like that it's not, you have no idea what anything is at all. You know, I do that all the time to myself, that I don't know anything, even though I was born and raised this way. But yeah, I mean, it's just a real relief, you know. I mean, all I could do, and what one thing I just kept reminding myself was like, all you can do is like tell your story as honestly as possible. And how can anyone deny that? You know, because
Yeah.
I had seen people, you know, like when anything, I mean, first of all, I think it's too early. I wouldn't be surprised if like the trolls come out of the woodwork as the book gains popularity, because there will always be those people. Because I remember when Crying in H-Mart came out, like there being some people being, you know, some Asian people being like, oh, you know, oh, she talks about Korean food like a white person, you know? And I was like, you know, so there's always going to be people who like don't like the way that or like their experience doesn't map onto mine in that way. And there's a plenty of like Korean women who like have moms that were really coddling and weren't cruel in this unique way that like Korean women. And like, I remember I talked to Karen Chi, and you know, and I feel like Yeji is kind of like this too, where like, I was like, yeah, you know, like, you know how like moms can be really cruel, and they're like, yeah, like, but they clearly like, I don't think that they have that kind of relationship with their mom at all, you know. And so it's obviously like not every single, you know, we're not a monolith, and like obviously there's a lot of like different types of mom in every culture, and there's hard ass moms in you know, Caucasian culture too. But you know, like I think that, you know, like I have heard from a lot of Asian friends that like that is like a, you know, a common experience, like and so and ultimately it's not a story about like Asian American moms. It's a story about my mom, and my mom was like that, you know. So I it's a real relief. I was like really nervous about it, and I'm so grateful. I mean, it's wild because like the kind of like feedback that I've gotten so far has been so moving and so intense, like in this way that even like with my records and stuff being really personal, and the kind of like feedback that I've gotten from those outlets, like the way that people can relate to you after they've like read a book about your life is like totally something else. Like it's pretty intense. But yeah, man, it feels really fucking good. I worked on this thing like forever, and like it feels really great to like be embraced by like my community, I guess, because I was really, you know, there's always a part of you that just like doesn't feel like you'll ever be fully accepted by them, and it almost like hurts more when like Asian people like don't accept, or Asian American people don't accept you, because you're just like, I expected this from the way that I grew up in, you know, America, but I didn't like expect this from you. Like we should know better to like do that to each other in a way.
It does hurt. I mean, I've been going through I mean, obviously not on your scale, but I've been going through that too, where Asian people are like, you don't know anything, and then
I feel like you get it probably worse because people can like interact with your stuff so much faster. One thing that's nice about a book is like you have to take the time and buy this shit in order to like come after me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your stuff, it's like a 30-second clip or a minute-long clip. And everyone has a fucking opinion about it. You know what I mean? Like I could not.
They really do.
Like what you go through. I would never put myself. Like sometimes it's enticing. Like I want that platform. It's like it's so fucking funny. That like I'm just like, oh god, like Youngmi is like an actual genius. Like, and I like feel so seen by your content. But the kind of like commentary about like that kind of video that everyone can interact with, is constantly interacting with literally the worst people, is like that community sometimes, you know, like I just don't I don't know how you like keep setting yourself like up for that. And I never want you to stop because it's so good. And I hope that like I can be one of your like legions of fans that's just like, don't ever quit because it's so good. But I can only imagine that like it gets like really exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I see ants. I'm just gonna finish by saying like, I know I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I know I'm right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep saying it. That's all that like. That's why. But I feel like what you just said in the end, all of that stuff I relate to so much. Like it's just like it makes so much sense. Yeah.
Youngmi.
Hi, Anne. Did you finish your ramen?
Oh my God, it was so disgusting.
No.
I mean,
This is like the real. This is like the real side of mukbang. It's
yeah.
like
Let's break the fourth wall. That shit was disgusting. I had like,
mine wasn't very good either. It's like cold and hard.
yeah, I love Shinran,
Tasted
but it
good,
needs
but
to
it
be
was a
fresh
yeah.
and brothy and
Yeah,
a little bit. al
that looked like
dente.
it had no broth.
No, it was just a casserole.
It
It was
tastes so
like
good.
the cheese Youngmi ate. Since we were talking about Youngmi's videos, I want to play a couple of my favorite ones.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Woo!
Good. All right. Let's do this. I'm gonna share.
I'm gonna eat more of my crab.
For me, everything is so weird. What's that smell? You're telling me that you take milk from cows, put it in a cave for 30 days, and then you eat that. No, I'm sure it's good.
Everything has a picture of a little white man on it.
Oh my God. Cat meat. Oh, it's 4 cats. Oh, you know what's bothering me? All this like single-use plastic. I guess like they don't really care about recycling here. Like that's a big thing where I'm from. I saw this on a YouTube video. It's dried beef. It's supposed to be really good. So this is adorable. You like not know that chemicals are bad. Like this has so many artificial colors.
Wait. Okay.
Truth.
Here's a. Uh-oh. Where are we? Screen sharing to stop the shared screen. Okay. Let me try one more.
What are you eating? Oh yeah, no, I can smell it from here. I can smell it from the hall actually. It's what's it called? Hamburger helper. Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've had that. I've definitely had that. Is it like your mom's recipe or what's that? No, I don't want any. No, I'm sorry. I'm actually I'm actually allergic to ground beef and processed cheese. Yeah. I mean, the smell is actually bothering me a little bit, but like, I mean, no. Don't. Hey, Claire, did you by any chance use the microwave? Yeah, because the whole break room smells like corn dogs now. Yeah, no. The thing is that Terry can't heat up his aloo gobi because it'll taste like corn dogs, so he's eating it cold. You know, I just feel really bad. No, don't apologize. It's not your fault. It's just I have a date tonight and I fucking smell like a carnival.
Okay. One more. Okay.
It really
This is very high-key awkward, Anne, but please.
What are you eating?
Oh yeah, no, I can smell it from
sorry,
here.
wrong one. Hold on.
everyone should check out Youngmi's TikTok. If
Yeah,
you
you know
are
what?
not a stan now, you will be soon.
Thank you.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure we paid proper homage to the ultimate Korean mom in this call, which is Youngmi.
Yeah.
But we
I
have
am a Korean mom.
hi.
Chaotic Korean mom.
Chaotic Korean mom. I wanted to ask you a question, Youngmi, and then we have questions from the audience, but
Oh, yeah.
I just keep thinking of Nick Cho, your Korean dad.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that on purpose? And just, you know, that you're doing chaotic Korean mom?
Oh no, I did a parody of Nick Cho's
Oh, you
TikTok where I did chaotic Korean mom, but I'm just like because his character is just like he's like just a
Wholesome.
good dad.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
wholesome, and I'm like I'm the hungover mom. So I did a TikTok where I was like, let's go to H-Mart, and then I'm just like eating raw.
I was trying to play it, but it won't play.
That one.
I had a dark thought. Where would I cry if my dad died?
Oh,
He's kind of already dead to me. Anyway,
mine too.
Okay. There were a couple good
No comment.
well, there were many good questions. I'm sorry to the chat room. I'm not going to ask all of them because we're just because I get to decide what questions to ask. So one of them is about something, Michelle, you said, I want to make sure I get this right. Ali asks, I'm also an Asian American with a white person last name. And it was related when you said your last name was, quote, neutral, but did you ever feel it misaligned with your identity?
I mean, I guess I would just like have to, I think for a long time I just like identified as an American, or like I think that what freaked me out was like if I was Michelle Chung-mi's Zauner, it gave something away. Whereas if I'm Michelle Zauner, like because I grew up in America, it didn't give anything away. Like people wouldn't imagine what I looked like from that name. I would just be like blank, And I like to have that sense of control. Whereas if I was Michelle Chung-mi's Honor, then they immediately would imagine like they're going to meet an Asian woman. They might have like certain expectations of how I might be or like what my work ethic might be like. And so it just felt like I was protecting myself from any sort of like preconceived notions. And I never like even thought that it was like a misrepresentation because like I'm half white, but yeah, I mean obviously like in retrospect back now it's like such a sad thing because that was like my mother's name. How did my mom feel that I used to pretend that I didn't have a middle name because like I was embarrassed, like I it's really heartbreaking to look back on now. And but yeah, I mean, I was also just like, oh, it's chic. Like, I don't need a middle name, So I liked that aspect of it. But yeah, that's always like what I've gone by, I guess.
Following up on that, so another question is, you were quoted in what was it, the Inquirer? I think you were interviewed by Dan DeLuca, and you were saying something about early on when you were taking creative writing classes, you didn't want to get kind of sucked into the idea of identity writing. But I think actually both of you are so good and adept at sort of talking about identity in this way that is clear you're having trouble with it. And I know here at Asian Arts Initiative, we hear this a lot also. It's just like, how do I do this without it being the thing that I'm doing, right? It's really hard. So I wonder if either of you or both of you can talk a little bit about how you sort of negotiate your identities as artists.
Wait, Michelle, tell me about that, like that, because like that really interests me too, because I feel like I've read, what was it, even Minor Feelings, right? Like she talks about like when she started doing poetry and she had to be like, the grain flies over the the grain of 1,000 tears. Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of times people will be like, how has like oh my God, like today I did like all these European interviews, and they're generally like not as like nuanced about this kind of stuff because like they are like a little bit more homogenous, I think. So all my questions today were like, oh, how do you think like K-pop has like influenced your music? And I was just like, it hasn't. It's like, or people will be like, how has your identity influenced your music? And it's like, I don't play like traditional like Korean string instruments like on my record. Like, I don't know like what you expect me to say. Like, I grew up listening to like Pacific indie rock, like Pacific Northwest indie rock. Like, I didn't grow up listening to like, like whatever that Korean string instrument is. There's no like there's no like fan dancing in general. So like it's stuff like that is just like what it's basically like the equivalent of getting asked like, where are you from? It's like I'm like it's just like you would never ask this question of anyone else. I watched like an interview with like a band of like white dudes, and it's like, tell me about this punk band that you've talked about before that's like influenced your records, or tell me about like the themes behind this album, or tell me about like this like harder direction that you're taking or whatever. It's all about craft. And that's like why, if I get asked, if an interviewer like comes into an interview and comes in and says like, tell me about the craft behind this, like, tell me about like the work that went in. I spend like 95% of my time thinking about the work that I put into my craft, and maybe 5% of the time, like waking up and thinking like, I'm an Asian American. Like, I don't like sit and dwell about it. And so for a long time, like when I went to, when I was in college, like the kind of writers that I loved, like, were these sort of gritty, like, Kmart realists. And like, I just wanted to write stories about people, and I wanted to be judged on, on my merit alone and my craft and my skill set, not like, being this like cultural ambassador or like all this pretext of like identity and stuff like that. So I was really, like hesitant to ever write about that and really disinterested in it. But then when my mom died, it just became all I could think about, you know, because
Yeah.
like that was just what was going on in my emotional life. So I just had to write about it. And then that's what
Yeah.
brought me to this sort of natural place.
Oh, that reminds me. I was gonna ask and I forgot earlier. That reminds me that when you were saying, you were talking about like Karen Cheese mom not being like the stereotypical, like meat cruel mom or something like that. And I feel like what you're saying is that Asian women just get to be human beings. Like we're not tiger moms or cruel moms just because we're Korean, or we're not nice or coddling. It doesn't mean, and you would never think that way if you met like a white mom. You don't be like, oh, all of you are like this or all of you are like that.
Or like, oh, you're so loud for a white person. You know what I mean? No one would ever say that to you, you know?
Because they're just considered human beings. Like there's so much like
that's what I mean by like a neutral body is like it's not like you're so this for this. You just like, oh, you're this person. You're this kind of person because that's just how you act, you know?
There's no assumption.
And there's no stereotype to go against because it's just neutral. Like white people.
For me,
and I mean honestly, that's what's really fucking funny about like what you do is because like you play off of a stereotype that does exist, or you
then you're like
level the playing field by like creating, calling out the stereotype that definitely does exist about, white people.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's weird when people say that to you, huh? Doesn't that feel bad? Yeah, it feels bad, right?
And it's not even like all negative stuff. So like the whole model minority thing, it's like, obviously like in theory, it's not a negative thing to say like, oh, you guys like I remember I went to a job and when I was younger and the guy was like, oh, well, you're Asian. So like, I know your people like work really hard or like whatever. And
I'm
like it's in theory, it's like, not bad, but it's like, it's uncomfortable in the same way that like, you sort of call out like this sort of like holy eco like friendliness of white people, and you like make like that being a stereotype in itself is like uncomfortable, once it turns into a stereotype, it's harmful, like uncomfortable, and even though it's like at the core it's a good thing, white people all of a sudden like don't want to be called out on that because it's like a stereotype associated with their group, and then all of a sudden it becomes uncomfortable even though it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is like with my videos I get a lot of white people telling me that they're really racist, and I'm like, I'm literally just doing what you do to us and you're saying I'm racist. Well, guess what, you're agreeing with my point. I'm saying that how you talk to me is racist. Does it like, and then it like, I'm like, is it clicking for you now? Like but the identity thing that Anne you're asking me about, I was talking to like Kelly Bachman, who's a comedian who was famous for calling out Harvey Weinstein because he was in the audience of her show. And she said the same thing, like people have this assumption, and she's like, I just want to come in with a clean slate. But every interview that she has now is like, you're the rape survivor, you're the brave rape survivor. And she's like, how do I shake this? And she had the same question. She was like, I don't want that. I just want to be a performer. So it's like, in a lot of ways, it's like.
Wait, did you see the Tina
like
Turner documentary?
No, was it recent? I didn't see it.
She talks about how like in every interview, she's like, I don't want to fucking talk about Ike. And like, in the interview, they're like, well, Ike every day for like 20 years. That must blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh my God, I literally just said, this isn't what I want. Anyway, it's worth watching. We're gonna start to wind down with some easy questions. A lot of people want to know more about what y'all are eating. So, one was, what's your favorite panchan? What's your favorite panchan? Second question is, what's your go-to Korean food when you're mad stressed out or whatever? And then just generally, what is your all-time favorite Korean dish?
Yeah, so I feel like the reason I really love what Youngmi is eating, kanjang, which is like this soy sauce crab that's like raw. I really want to try the shrimp. I haven't. There's also like this new popular thing that Youngmi was telling me about a while ago, where they're eating like raw soy sauce shrimp. But yeah, my favorite dish is kanjang probably, or yangnam kejang. And my comfort food always is like kimchi jjigae. Like I was really hungover the other day, and like my stomach was really unsettled, and I like always will make kimchi jjigae with like rice and like a really really runny egg. Like my favorite thing is like when there's like gushing yolk in like hot rice. Like, I love that. Gushing yolk.
Gushing yolk.
And my favorite banchan lately, for a long time, I guess it would be like dongchimi, like with the like brine, and my mom used to always make like cut the tongchimi like white radish, pour the brine over it with like sesame oil, gochugaru, and
good.
sesame seeds. And in the summertime, like if you want to make it a meal, you just like put some rice and like ice in it. I loved
Mhm.
eating that like on the
So good.
side with like kalbi, because like it really like it's so acidic and like tart and bright, and it really like breaks up sort of like richer flavors. Like if you eat kalbi and then like chase it with like tongchimi, it's like my favorite thing.
That's so good.
I kind of you haven't eaten anything yet because the ramen was so so now I'm starving to death.
Oh no!
Come
Wait,
over, Anne. You can have some
wait.
crab with me.
I'm gonna run up to New York City right now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Youngmi, your turn.
Oh, it's my favorite is probably also kanjangaejan, which I feel like I have a theory that all Koreans that's
Yeah,
their
might say
favorite.
that. Yeah.
The pap todok, the rice burglar. And the shrimp thing I had, like, it's become really popular recently. It's just like it's cooked, but it's like pickled in soy sauce,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they make it look like I think some of them are raw actually, but the
Yeah.
one that I had was cooked, and they make it look like a sushi. So you order it, and then they like bring it out. You
Oh
know?
wow.
It's really good. And then there's this thing called fuck, I forgot what. Oh my god, I forgot the Korean. But it's like this cockle. It's like a small clam muchim with like hot rice, bibimbap. And then there's this.
Not kolbengi.
No, it's I can't believe I forgot what it's called. It's gonna come to me later. It's if you just look at cockle, like in Korean. But there's this dish that like all Koreans eat at home, and like no one really talks about it. It's like boribap, which is just steamed barley.
Yes,
And then you make a wrap with the pumpkin leaves. Like you steam pumpkin leaves, and they're kind of like hairy. There's hair on them. And then you put the boribap inside, and you just put a little like scoop of like doenjang, like paste, like miso paste, and then you make a sam. And I feel like that's like so good that you never see that.
Have you been to Hungary in LA?
No.
There's a kalguksu restaurant that I really like, but they're like banchan that they like one of their banchan is like that boribap, but with like I think like the chonggagmu like head, like the leaves. And
yeah. Oh, I love those.
doenjang, and it's really really good. I actually never had that before. My mom like never made boribap at home.
Oh really? It was a big thing. My mom. I don't know. My favorite banchan, 깻잎 무침. Hello.
Oh wow. That's like some real Korean shit. You know, I had to like train myself
so
to like 깻잎 because I like didn't like it for a really long time.
Really?
Yeah.
So good.
And I was like, I'm not a real Korean if I don't like 깻잎.
No, the funny thing is in Korea, a lot of Korean people don't even eat kimchi. Like they just don't eat it. Like because
is there a Korean thing that you don't like that makes you feel less Korean?
Yes, so many. Kuksu, fuck that shit. Kuksu tastes like shit.
Oh my god.
Fried anchovies boiled in water.
Yeah.
I hate kuksu. It makes me angry. I'm like, you guys could easily make this so good, but it's like a really bad version of pho.
Yeah, totally.
Posam.
I hate posam. Oh my god.
No. I'm so angry.
Well, that's amazing. I always feel really guilty that I don't like posam, and like all these like white people are like, "Oh, have you had posam? It's so good." And I'm like, "How do you like posam? Like nothing in your culture is like remote." Yeah.
I think it's lazy because posam is not even popular in Korea, but Dave Chang made it popular here. So that's
I don't get
it's like one of the only things that white people know. And I'm like,
yeah.
Like shit.
I totally agree. Wow. I'm so glad I'm like not. Yeah.
Boiled gray meat. Shut up.
Boiled gray meat.
Stop pretending you like it.
Yeah.
I hate kuksu. I hate posam. I hate there's so many things. I like all the seafood stuff, but I don't know. I hate
do you like hue more or do you like sushi more?
So much more because it's
really?
like so good because they give you so much more. Oh wait, I guess they're like two very different things in my head.
No, I think you're right. The volume, you can't beat the volume. It's like just
yeah, they give you an entire dead like fish, an entire tuna.
Wait,
yeah.
Because be honest, when you go eat sushi, do you not all go get tacos afterward?
Of course, yeah.
Like you don't just have sushi.
Yeah, it's like $500, and then I have to go get a burrito after. Here's my money.
Did you work at? Wait, did you guys like ever work? I worked at so many sushi restaurants.
Yep.
The only place that would
college.
ever
Yeah.
hire me I worked at like every single sushi restaurant in Philadelphia. I worked
That's funny.
I worked at Yakitori Boy. I
my
worked
God.
I worked at Raw. And what else did I-
Yakitori Boy.
Oh my
That's
God,
racist.
No,
Yakitori Boy was
hey,
like
no,
literally the
don't
worst
hate
job I ever
Yakitori
had, I
Boy.
think.
Yakitori Boys neighbors of ours.
Oh,
So
really?
we want to always. Thanks for the Philly shout out, by the way. I'm new. I'm new to the city, but I knew if I didn't address that, I would be murdered. So, Philadelphians are really.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
Philly
do
in
one
this
mukbang
book.
thing before I go. You just squeeze out the guts and you put on the rice like this.
Yeah.
Mm,
Gejang guts.
so hungry. This is like.
I'm sorry, Anne. I'm sorry. Sorry to do this
Well,
to you.
No. No. Don't feel bad. Sushi. I got sushi bar, so that's real though. That was my college job too, and it's kind of intense.
That's so funny.
Oh
The
my-
only place that will hire you when you like have no work experience. If you're
Yeah.
Asian, that's all they
Yeah.
care about. You just add to the decor.
Oh, and it didn't help that I actually spoke Japanese. That made it worse.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, you speak very bad Japanese.
Oh my God, you should have played Youngmi's like sushi restaurant one.
Oh my God. The other day I was
That's
at
so
I was at a sushi restaurant and everyone that was working there was like not Japanese, so like Thai or whatever, like I don't care. But this white couple walked in, they sat down, they're like, you know this place is good because everyone working here is Japanese. And I was like, gotcha, bitch.
Oh no.
Ah,
Okay, so Bosan's canceled. Cooksu's
Bosan is canceled.
so bad.
Oh,
So bad.
that's so funny.
I really want you to do like a TikTok. If I were to do a TikTok like Youngmi style TikTok, I would do it about
Yeah.
this like hipster guy that has like either a Chinese or like I guess just any Asian girlfriend. But I
Yeah.
went to this like hot pot party and the guy kept being like, "Oh, I think this is Yellow Magic Orchestra." And then he was like, and then we were eating, it was like a hot pot party. This was like pre-pandemic. And then he was like, "Oh, like, can you pass me the tofu?"
Ew. They love the tofu.
He literally looked me in the eye and was like, "Can you pass me the tofu?" Is that Yellow Light Magic Orchestra? I think it is.
YMO baby. Sakamoto. He's the best. You know what's worse?
No one's denying that Sakamoto is the goat, but you know the guy that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
No one thinks it's cool that you know who YMO is.
Oh my god, it's so true. The other version of that is when this happened to me. I was at a Panera and literally
And you're like, "Oh, this place is so legit. There's a bunch of white people working here."
I'm not trying to be young me. There was a white guy ordering and he literally made eye contact with me. And I know I have the haircut and this is like, he made eye contact with me before he ordered a Chinese chicken salad. I'm like, yes.
Right.
I'm gonna reenact this.
Can I have the
Can I get the
with the mandarin oranges?
salad? Can I get the Chinese chicken
salad?
Was he like embarrassed or like he was like,
I think he
"You're
thought
probably getting the same thing"?
I think he thought he was getting
Camaraderie.
hot, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm getting French onion soup. It's not a problem.
You're like,
Can I get the
French onion.
onions?
French onion soup.
What if you... That is so funny.
Like he thought, I think he felt bad, and I was like, "We're in a Panera, my friend." it's
Nothing wrong with the word Chinese, bro.
bro.
Did they? They must have changed it from Oriental.
Oh, it must have been.
Maybe it was Oriental chicken salad, and then he changed it Chinese, and he felt uncomfortable about it.
He was like,
He's like, I'm on your side.
allyship.
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 This is my
Dofu
cat Donko. This is
Oh,
Donko.
wow.
Oh,
So you have
Donko
3.
Raho.
You have 2. Wow.
I have 2 cats and
Donko
a
is
dog.
is 뚱뚱해.
Yeah, he's a big cat. Ugh,
oh.
very needy.
Wow.
Menagerie. Oh my God. Okay, let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
I love the idea of like people going to like a literary events and like finding this. Oh, the cheese in my corn dog is really hard.
Sitting in my stomach, it's like really hurting my stomach. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God. I'm just hoping none of our funders are watching. They're like, we kind of low-key gave them $500,000 last month.
No, this is called great content. You can't pay for this shit. You have no
This
idea.
visibility.
Yeah.
They tried this one. No, it's gonna be another cheese bomb. The bottom.
That's so sad. I can't. I want to go get hot ones.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Well, corn's eyes are so big.
Corn
he's like-
is about to eat your whole face. You guys should go get hot, steaming, stretchy, juicy, cheesy corn dogs. I'm gonna go to Yakitori Boy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Get a job. I'm gonna get a job there.
Don't work there. It's not great.
It's the only place that'll hire me now. Thank you so much. And
Thank you for having us, Anne.
Oh, okay. Last little plug for Asian Arts Initiative. We have a spring benefit coming up, and so you can buy this really cute little box full of really neat things, including a Japanese notebook and a signed copy of Michelle's book and a shirt that says Asian Love and all kinds of locally made like honeys and
Wow.
spices and this thing that's probably full of things and then coffee. Anyway.
What could that be? Is it full of dough?
What is it full of? Dildos? What is
I
it?
want everybody to think it's something, but it's probably
Uh-oh.
not, I think the strongest thing in it is CBD, but
Nice.
but I'm doing this so people make up in their own heads, whatever you want to be in this pink pouch is in here. So
I said dildos. That's where I went with it.
wait, if your dildo fits in this bag,
Oh.
just saying. Okay. Go check us out at asianartsinitiative.org. There's going to be a flyer that comes up on screen, and that'll mark the end of the broadcast. Does that sound good? Okay, so I am going to share.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thanks. Bye.
Ooh.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.